Here's my second attempt, 545 pounds. When I did this squat, I knew it was high. For whatever reason, I just didn't go down all the way, and I knew I was going to get called on it, but it felt so light, and it went so fast that I didn't even bother reattempting the weight. I just went up to the next weight, and I knew I was going to bury the next one, and everything was going to be perfectly fine. And that's just kind of a summary of how the day went. Out of 12 attempts, I only got 5 of them. That is by far the worst I've ever done in any competition since I started. Even my first meet, I went 9 for 9, but that was more due to inexperience and me not actually attempting weights I was capable of. And if anything, my first meet, I played it really safe. I was afraid of bombing a lift. After that, I adopted a more reckless stance where if I'm gonna get out there and I'm gonna compete, I'm gonna go for it. I'm gonna go for something I've never done before, and I'm gonna leave it all on the platform. So to me, bombing a lift or two isn't a sign of failure. It's a sign that you actually went for it, that you actually tried something. But when you miss 50% of your attempts, maybe there's something going on. And I had for sure a few things going on. For starters, I had this lovely 3-day road trip, which was very enjoyable. The wife and I took our time driving out there. We went from Las Vegas to Alabama, and we probably could have gotten there in 2 days, but we wanted to take our time. We wanted to see the sights. We stopped in 2 different places, and we got to see the country. And I got to tell you, it was a really neat experience. I don't know if I would do it again. Road trips are very taxing, but if you've never driven across the country, I highly suggest at least one time in your life just doing it. Get in the car and just go. Go see the country. Stop in cities, talk to the locals, get a feel for the different regions. It's definitely worth it, at least to do once in your life. Yes. If I got nothing else out of this trip except for a few-day vacation on the Gulf Coast of Alabama with my wife, without the kids for the first time in 7 years, God, maybe even longer, that would have been enough. So that's like a consolation prize. So even though I had the worst meet since probably my first or second one, performance-wise anyways, not the amount of weight lifted, even though it was a very disappointing performance on my part, I still walked away with second place at Worlds in a stacked division. So I had a lot of people that I was competing against. And I had the accolades of a bunch of people saying how great I did. And personally inside, I'm thinking, God, I'm a failure. I didn't meet my goals. And I have all these people telling me how awesome I did and that I should be happy. And what I wanted to talk about is kind of like reconciling why we do what we do and what the point of everything should be and how we sometimes get stuck on the wrong thing. My need to win at all costs had kind of become an obsession. It was either I'm going to get this 1600s total or I'm a total failure of a lifter because I'm not better than I was before. And that's what I'm always saying. Try to be better than I was before. But after the competition was over and the injuries started settling in and I realized how just physically miserable I was, I got to thinking, I really pushed it too hard this time. And I should have dropped out of the competition. I'm glad I didn't. I am glad I didn't. I thought to myself, even if I knew I had no chance of getting a medal or a podium placement, I should have still competed just to say I did it. Because the goal was always to qualify for, compete at, and possibly get a medal at Worlds. And I walked away with all 3 of those things. Did I beat my previous best? No. Although I did beat my deadlift record in competition. So, 1 out of 3, at least I got something out of it. Now, for me, the journey is the destination. It's not about what you're going to get out of it, but what you do going through what we go through to do what we do. And a lot of people, we get stuck only doing things we're good at. We never put ourselves out there. We never take chances. And if you were only going to compete knowing that you were going to win, and if you didn't think you were going to win, you wouldn't do it. That would be pretty shallow and meaningless, don't you think? So at the end of the day, I'm satisfied. I'm satisfied that I got to do this, and I want to say thank you to everyone that helped me. All in all, I had a bunch of people that had donated to the trip. They donated right around $800, which paid for gas and most of the lodging. The rest came out of pocket, but there's no way I would have been able to pull this trip off without some kind of assistance. It cost, I don't know, it was around $3,000 for the whole thing. And my wife, she was getting sick of it. You know, I told her I was going to take a break after the last competition. And then when I said, babe, I want to compete at Worlds, she says, oh, here we go. She stuck with me through this whole thing and watched me kind of go downhill, start injuring myself. All of you guys on YouTube, you know, with your help, your tips, your training assistance, your advice, it's just, I don't know. I don't think I could have made it this far without you guys. And it's easy to say, well, you didn't do that great in this meet because you didn't beat your last total, but you know, I think circumstances, if you set those circumstances aside, I had one of the most spectacular competitions of my entire life. With all the adversity that I faced with this one and the mounting injuries and the fact that I probably should have dropped out, to then place second amongst all of my peers, despite the injuries, I mean, that speaks for itself. I still finished with an elite total for my age group, and even though I didn't have the performance I would have wished for, do we really ever, even if I would have gotten a mid 1600 total, and you know, I would have added to the records for all three of my lifts, are we ever satisfied? Is it ever enough? Have you ever finally gotten that 400-pound bench and said, well, I can stop benching now, I finally did it? No, we always want more. And sometimes it's good. Sometimes it's good to just take account and be grateful for what you have. And I'm grateful for all of you. Thank you much, and I love you.